Okay, so this video is going to be about a dream that I had May 28th, 2014. I woke up at 4:51 a.m. and I wrote down, before I even started writing the dream, to make a serious note about this dream. This dream does not follow a pattern like my other dreams, and I wrote down that this marks something big. Okay, I can remember most of this by heart, but I might have to look at this every once in a while, just in case I miss a detail. Okay, so I was inside of a house, and there was a large, it was like the place that you go when you first open a door of a house. It was like very large, like kind of like a living room, maybe like a sitting room, and then you would go through another threshold, and then that was the living room, and the TV was on, and there were people in there. Okay. I remember looking outside, and it was very green, like probably the most beautiful green you could possibly imagine. Um, there was grass, trees, very beautiful. I was with people that I know, but I can't really describe them. It's like, those people in your dream where you know them, but you can't really assimilate it to people that you know in your current consciousness. My ma was in it, and my ma passed away 2009, November 19th. Outside was unlike any storm I've dreamed about. There were colors within and throughout the sky, almost pixelated. There wasn't rain that I can remember. It was an electrical storm, but it was in a grid pattern, as if the globe was covered in a grid pattern, and that grid was tainted, and so electrically charged that it would transfer from one grid box to another, all over the place, really fast, accompanied by colors. It didn't look natural, but I'm unsure about that. I mean, it could be natural, the design maybe, but it was just so, it was like taking latitude and longitude. Actually, it didn't even look like a dome when I think about it now. It was very flat, and it was very close to like the roof of the house. It was almost like we think that the sky is very, very far away, but in reality it was like level with the house. And it was like these grid, like a latitude, longitude, these lines. And the electricity that was going through it would, like, there wasn't any pauses. It wasn't like lightning. It wasn't like a heat storm, like a heat lightning storm. It was constantly running through all these lines, and it was this very beautiful, like reflections off a diamond, and they were all pastel colors. It was really, really pretty. I remember that. I don't remember being scared. I just remember looking at it and being like, wow, that's pretty intense. And as this electricity is moving through all these lines, where the latitude and longitude sort of intersect, you got like a box and then a box, and like those points where all the lines come together, it would like burst more energy. It would burst a lot of energy in there. But I mean, it's still circulating everywhere, but as soon as it would meet, it would like burst right there with all the same colors, all the pastels, like light green, like a mint green, and like a soft pink and soft purple, Um, okay, I walked over to the windows in the sitting room. So it's like the room as soon as you walk in through the door of the house. And when I looked outside, I saw all, like, there were no clouds anywhere else. Anywhere. All the clouds had come together. Like, as if every cloud that ever lived came all together, and it was like it all came together to look like a gigantic bull. I mean, it was the word I heard in my dream was Taurus, but it was exactly like you'd picture it. It was like this big old strapping torso of like a man torso, but real strapping, and then the face of a bull, and it had the ring and the horns and everything, and um, the way that the cloud was going, it was like a genie, so it tapered off at the end. I don't know, I couldn't see exactly where it began at the bottom, but it like tapered. He didn't have legs, it was just the torso. Yeah, I wrote a humanoid bull. As soon as I saw it, the word Taurus came to mind. It appeared to be moving slowly and most powerfully. It was conjuring up everything in its path. So what it looked like in my dream was I'm just this little person in this little house looking out this window, and this beast is so, I don't know how to describe it. It was like looking at a city. It was like looking at a giant city in the air, kind of. You know, just the size. I'm just saying, like, the size of this bull. So this bull, this huge Taurus, is like moving like this, you know, like just, it seems really slow to me, because like I was seeing in my other videos, it's like when things are much bigger, they seem like they're going slower because they're so much bigger than you. And to the, the Taurus, he's probably, moving like I'm moving right now. But anyways, to me it looked really slow, and I think that also clicked for me in understanding more about like perception and position in space and time. Anyways, so he's moving around, he's going really slow, and it's like I can tell where he's going because he's already got that the emphasis to be moving a certain way. And like as he's doing this, he's like conjuring up buildings and cars, and things are moving. He's not actually touching them, he's just sort of using energy to do it. Okay, I wrote down, this Taurus seemed to know exactly where I was. No one else seemed to know what was going on. Like all the people that were in the other room, they were all sort of entranced by this TV, and I mean they weren't like. It almost seemed like they were just sort of like this lost feeling, like they don't have bad intentions or anything like that. They just don't see it, so they're just not aware. So it wasn't like a bad feeling. It was just like they're just not conscious of what's going on. Okay. When I looked at the Taurus, it was just about to look at me in the eyes. So it's like, it's going like this. And like, imagine I'm behind it in the house. So he's turning like this, and I know he's turning around. And for some reason, I get this feeling like he's gonna look at me. Like, he knows I'm there, and he's gonna try to look at me face to face. I turned away. I knew that's what he was doing, but I turned away, and I grabbed my ma. So it's like my ma's in the same room as I am. So I'm looking out the window like this at the thing that's happening. And as soon as I think he's about to turn and look at me, I stopped looking. I felt like sort of afraid. I don't know if afraid is the right word. It was like I knew that if our eyes met, it would not be a good thing. So I didn't look. I don't know what that means. So I turn away, and my mom's standing right here, and okay, so my mom's standing right in front of me, and I put my hands on her shoulders, and I look her right in the eye, and I said that I had one more thing that I needed to tell her. I told her that I looked at her and I said I love you very much, and that if we were to ever meet up again in another life, and we were the same age, I would ask her to marry me. Now, I know that kind of sounds weird, just because, like, we're family members, but to me in the dream, it felt like our souls were so connected on throughout lives, perhaps, that I knew intuitively that we would always be connected. And I think that me saying that to her like that was showing her that our souls are married and will always be together. Because that's what it felt like. It felt like this very warm, enveloping love that was like, it was like in that moment, it didn't matter. I didn't even think about whether it sounded like incest or whether it sounded, like something of this world construct. To me, it felt very innocent. It felt extremely genuine, and I felt like so much love coming through me that I tried to think of the best word to describe being completely together with somebody forever. And marriage was that word. Sorry, I have a cough here. Okay, and then she kind of acted like she didn't believe me, and this felt sort of playful. She kind of acted like she didn't believe me, or that I was being ridiculous. Kind of like, like that playful, oh come on, like, oh come on. But I looked her in the eyes and I said, no, I'm very serious, that I absolutely love you. And then once I did that, I was pulled away from her, very, well, I want to say violently, just because it was so out of place, but it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt. I was pulled away. Like, imagine so I'm holding on her shoulder, and it was like something just like grabbed me by the scruff of my neck, and it threw me against the wall, very, very close to the ceiling. It was like right where the ceiling meets the wall, so that crease, and it was like I got pushed up against it, and I'm thinking it was the Taurus. It was that energy. Excuse me. And I felt when I was pinned against that wall by this energy, I could feel it in my whole body, and it was like almost unbearable. I wouldn't say painful. It was uncomfortable, but it wasn't the breaking point, It didn't feel scary. It just felt like a lot. It felt like a lot of energy surging through me. Yeah, and then when that happened, I was sort of stunned in that moment with all that electricity. And then when I looked, she was gone. My mom had left in that moment. Okay. And then it felt like my house had gotten lifted up, but it was very slow. It was very calm. I felt safe. And then once we hit a certain point, And it's weird because I felt like I could see outside of the house, even though I was inside the house, and I could see that there were wheels underneath the house. They looked like a plane, like the wheels on the bottom of a plane. And okay, so the house getting picked up, it's very slow, and then I feel it rotating. The house is rotating, but it's very, very slow, very calm. I don't feel in danger. I feel very safe. It felt very gentle. Then, okay, so at this point, the Taurus is gone, or I can't see it because I'm up so high. And I walk into the other room where everyone's watching TV and stuff. And I'm sort of looking at everyone. And there's a window in that room too, and I look out the window and I can see that, you know, we're clearly moving, we're clearly spinning, we're clearly not on the ground right now. And I'm looking at these people watching TV, and they're just completely in that world. And then I turn around and I look out the threshold I just came into from the first room, and this girl walks in, and she looks right at me. It was almost like I was looking at myself. It was such an intense stare that it was like that person totally broke the pattern. Like, it was almost like we both were somewhere else than those people, even though we were in the same house. It was like that eerie, I mean, it felt kind of creepy just because it was so intense. It was like this it was like this all-knowing, I don't know how to really explain that. It was just really intense. I felt like when she looked at me, it was like wherever her and I are, like whatever frequency, whatever realm, whatever dimension we were both in, even though the other beings from that dimension weren't there, I felt like all their eyes were looking through her eyes at me. But it wasn't, it felt good. Okay, I guess it felt like a good thing. Just very intense. So she stops, she looks at me, and she says, hold on, sorry. She looked at me and she says, you know, you realize we're the only ones being picked up and being lifted up and moved like we are, right? Like, she just came in and said, you know, we're the only ones being lifted up, right? Like, man, I really wish words could describe how it felt. And I don't know if I said I know, or I blinked or something, because I feel like I said something in that moment. Maybe it was telepathic. And then it was like, as soon as I blinked, she was gone. She was totally gone. Like, she was like she just appeared and then was gone. I don't know. And as soon as that happened, as soon as she was gone, everything stopped moving. Everything stopped moving. Outside, inside, everything. And then, well, we stopped moving as if whatever was going on, whatever this big change, whatever this situation was done. It was all over. It was finished. And then the house, I remember the house getting slowly put down, very calmly, very gently. And it was no longer spinning or anything. And then I remember everyone wanted to go outside. Like, as soon as the house was put down, everybody, like, sort of broke out of that trance of the TV and was like, hey, we should go outside. Let's go outside. And you know what? I'm just gonna stop reading this and just go with what I remember, because this is just ridiculous. Okay, so I remember everyone coming out of the living room was like, "Hey, let's go outside. Let's go venture out now." And I remember a voice. I feel like I was the only one that could hear it in that room, and it said, "Those who do not have welcome mats will suffer much more than those who do have welcome mats." To me, that meant open heart, open mind. To me, it kind of felt like, not like a threat or anything like that. It was more like acceptance to change, being flexible, adaptable. It was kind of like, the more you resist it, the more it's difficult it's going to seem to you, the more difficult it's going to feel to you, the less enjoyable of an experience you're going to have. It's kind of what it felt like to me. So as soon as I heard that voice, and everybody's, they're bum rushing the door like they want to get out, and I was like, no, hold on a minute now. Let's since I explained what I thought in my head to them, and I said, some of us have welcome mats and some of us don't have welcome mats. So I think that we should all go outside together, and that way they won't be able to tell who is who, because we're all mushed together, and it'll all blend, and then that way we can go and not worry about anyone finding out who's got a welcome mat and who doesn't. And they all kind of look at me like, what are you talking about? So I stopped for a minute and I'm like, I just think, safety in numbers. We all go out together, then we're all going to be safe. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Great idea. So we open the door and we get out, and honestly, the whole world looked just as beautiful it was when we left it. It was very green, very flush. There wasn't a lot of trees, but everything was very beautiful. And then we all started walking on this path. It was a dirt path, and it was like one dirt path out of this whole planet, this whole place that we are. And I could see in the distance there were lots of groups of people, and they were just sort of like, I could see in the distance they're all kind of like merging to the same path. Like we all seem to know we're going this way. This is where we're all going. No one's questioning it. We just know that's where we should go. So we start walking, and we finally get to this other building. We finally get to this other building, and I remember it feeling like camp. Like if you ever went to camp as a kid. And we went inside. We all fit in this tiny little room somehow. And there's people up front, and these people felt like camp counselors. So it was like, even though these people up front were in charge, it wasn't like a dictatorship. It felt more like the go-betweens, the messengers, like they have our best interests. But they were sort of to regulate everyone in the group. So we're all sitting in there, kind of like a U shape, and then you got the people up front, And what these people up front start doing is they say a name, and then after that name is said, they go over what this person did with their life. And I remember when they said this person's name, there was one guy in the group that was like about to point at this person because they knew that person's name, and they were sort of chuckling because there was something that was kind of embarrassing possibly about this person, and they went to point, and like something moved his hand down, like an energy, not rough or violent. It was just like it stopped. It prevented him from pointing out who this person was. And the people up front said, "No, we don't do that here. We're not pointing fingers. We don't do that here. We are here to listen to what everyone did with their lives so that we can learn where there was love and where there wasn't love, and where we could have love the next time. Where, to learn from it. We're here to learn from each other. We're not here to point fingers." And it was stern, and it was fair. They didn't yell. It was like, "No, we don't do that here." It was very, very kind. It was like a very loving parent. And I remember waking up from that dream and feeling like, oh, I gotta put more love where maybe I wasn't before. I need to not hold back. I need to, if I like the way someone dresses, if I like the way they smell, if I want to hug them, if I want, if I want to show my love for somebody, I shouldn't have to be constricted by saying, "Oh, maybe they're not okay with that." I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna do anything that's out of bounds. I just mean, why don't we hug more? Why don't we hug more? Why is that so weird? Why we gotta shake hands? That's so distant. Why can't we just hug? So that was sort of an eye-opener for me. Just that dream in general, and it was so epic. I mean, I've had lots of dreams about, mass animals dying. That mostly happened in 2011. I had a lot of like earthquake dreams and, all kinds of stuff like that. So it was like events that, like, you could pinpoint those events. You know what I mean? But this one was very spiritual. It was very endish. It was like the final something. You know what I mean? It was very epic. So I thought I would share that because that was just this May 28th, 2014. So maybe some of this resonated with you guys. Maybe you're having similar dreams or similar symbols in it. So I just wanted to get that out there. Maybe we can all learn from each other. So I hope you enjoy it. I'll have more later. I actually covered a lot of things last night that I found super interesting. So look forward to another video. Thank you again.